I'm up to 65 minutes of cardio a day, 5 days a week. I've got no choice with the way that I'm eating. And now I've got avocado toast in front of me again for the second week in a row. But I'm not going to hesitate. We only live once, and we live for days like today. Why? Food and college basketball. 4 words, America. We sleep in May.
This is March. Chicken vodka wrap is to die for.
Welcome to Stuff with Jon Rothstein. Best player you don't know in college basketball.
We have a very high bar on this show. I've let myself go, I'll be 400 pounds. I just want to make sure I don't go all in on chocolate chip pancakes at the diner down the street.
Forget about not sleeping until May. I may not sleep at all, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else. College hoops. Everything else is just secondary.
Who's ready to nosh? Welcome to Stuffed with Jon Rothstein. Another episode, another week full of laughs, basketball, and of course, food. Avocado toast is back, and it's never looked better. We're going to hear from Illinois Guard Ayo Dosunmu coming up later in the show. But first, want to get, obviously, some major topics in the sport in a New York minute. Want to start in the Atlantic Coast Conference. It looks like we're finally starting to get separation in the ACC. Florida State has won 4 games by significant margins, and Virginia made another statement on Monday night against Syracuse, starting to look like Tony Bennett may have his best shooting front court since he's been at Charlottesville, with Marquette transfer Sam Hauser, Jay Huff, and also Rice transfer Trey Murphy. Guards in college basketball can aspire to be great, but they can't play better than Jared Butler played for Baylor last week. Averaged 26 points and 8 assists, shot an extremely high percentage in wins over Oklahoma State and Kansas. When players are debating whether or not they should come back for their final season or another season of college basketball, they should look at the year that Butler is having for Baylor. Right now, Butler obviously separating from the pack in the Big 12. Big 12 had another fun night on Monday night. West Virginia edging Texas Tech by 1 point in Morgantown. And then another big highlight from the weekend, Missouri goes to Knoxville. Conzo Martin's old program gets a key road victory. The interesting thing for me in that game was the level of experience that Missouri put on the floor. In the win at Tennessee on Saturday night, 8 players played in the game for Missouri. 7 were juniors and seniors. That is the mark of a team that is built to play deep in the NCAA tournament. And one team that traded blows earlier this season with Missouri is Illinois, and they've got a superstar guard. His name is Ayo Dosunmu. He now joins us here on Stuff with Jon Rothstein. And Ayo, before we get to your accolades on the court, my sources tell me that Ayo Dosunmu is a pretty big NBA 2K player. How did that start?
It pretty much started with my cousin. Growing up, my cousin Marno used to always come over my house, and we used to work out a lot. You know, we used to work out, eat, you know, just be kids, competitive. And then he had that same competitive spirit in 2K that I had. So I used to always play him in 2K and play him in video games. And then the more and more, you know, I played him, and played against my brother, the more competitive I got, and the more fun it became.
Well, it's obvious that basketball is the center point of your life. Everybody who knows you says that's your main focus, but it's good to see you obviously have an outlet in video games to have a release. Everybody also talks about how close you are with your family. What has it been like being apart from them during the pandemic?
It's been hard, definitely, but it was an adjustment I had to make. I definitely, you know, miss them, you know, every day, miss seeing them, miss hearing them in my games cheering, but the circumstance that we're in, the pandemic that we're in, I understand. You know, got it out. I talk to them every day, daily. Zoom calls, phone calls, FaceTime, group FaceTime. So, you know, the love is there, just can't physically see them. But it just makes me work harder, you know, just enjoy the moment. I don't want to, you know, be thinking about getting things back to normal, and then you can miss out on enjoying the moment that we're in now. So I try to just focus on, you know, the now moment, and then hopefully when we get a vaccine and, you know, things clear up, I'll be able to see them and things get back to normal.
Well said, Ayo. You sound mature beyond your years, and we should celebrate, obviously, your birthday, because it was last week that you just turned 21, and the word is that your family drove from Chicago to Champaign to do a drive-up birthday celebration. What was that like?
It was great. You know, they came. It was actually funny because they have my location, so they were following me after I left Ubben, which is our practice facility. And when I got out, I was with my roommate Tyler Underwood, and I got the car. I was putting my key in and going to my apartment, and it was a car who honked. You know, I didn't know who it was. It was nighttime. It was like 9 o'clock at night, so I thought it was just someone recognizing me. And so I looked back and waved, and then they honked again. And then I noticed it was my dad's car. So they just drove to the other side of the street, and then they just got out, and they just sung Happy Birthday from the other side of the street. It was really cool.
Well, it's a beautiful family moment, and we appreciate you sharing that with us. And obviously your family is deep-rooted in Chicago, and before your time, before you were born, there was a basketball dynasty in Chicago, the Chicago Bulls led by Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Ayo Dosunmu wasn't alive during that run, but you got a pretty good peek into it during the Last Dance last summer. What was it like absorbing that run from that perspective?
Oh, that was outstanding. That probably is one of my favorite and most inspirational films that I ever saw. You know, just seeing the inside of not just how Michael Jordan, his thought process and the killer instinct that he carried himself with, but seeing the business side of everything. Seeing how Scottie Pippen was one of the most underpaid players in that time, and just seeing how decisions were made, and see how like jealousy and envy can break up something that's good. So actually me seeing it, I looked at it in so many different ways, and it was actually something that I really enjoyed watching.
Well, obviously that's something that was well documented, and everybody who obviously loves basketball and loves sports was tuned in. And on a sadder note, today is the 1-year anniversary of the tragic passing of Kobe Bryant. For you personally, how do you remember that day?
Oh man, it was devastating. I remember I actually was sleeping. I was playing video games, and I was on a mic with my friends. We were playing 2K, and someone said Kobe died, and I'm thinking like it was someone maybe from back home, or I wasn't thinking of Kobe Bryant. They checked Twitter, boom, they said it was a helicopter crash, and I was devastated. It actually hit me for a long time. It hit me for about 2 weeks. I was actually like really sad because I met Kobe before, and that was my favorite player of all time. Like, just my favorite player, the way he carried himself, the way he overcame adversity in so many different occasions. I really looked up to him on a basketball court, and having that Mamba mentality. So when he died, and how he died, and knowing he died with his daughter, it was very sad.
No, it was extremely sad for obviously everybody that day, and prayers to his family on the 1-year anniversary of his passing. But for your game now, you move forward. You're a junior. You're one of the best players in the country. If Ayo Dosunmu had to compare himself to one player, past or present, who would it be?
That's tough.
That's why we asked the question.
Yeah, I know. Ayo Dosunmu, I really don't think that I'm just could be compared to one person, because I watch a lot of film. I actually do, and I see shades of I have NBA League Pass, so I see shades of so many different players. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, because we have similar comparisons, like wingspan, the pace he plays with, how he operates in pick and roll. He's pretty, I would say him.
Well, it's obvious, Ayo, that you got. I'm sorry.
Tough.
Go ahead. Yeah, we got the wheels.
It's tough.
We got the wheels turning there for a little bit with the comparison, but you obviously have your eyes on the NBA. That's your lifelong goal, and you went through the NBA draft process last year and decided to come back to Illinois for your junior season. How close were you to going professionally last year?
I was very close. It came down to it was a very difficult decision. Overall, I think I made the right decision, but I looked at the long term, but I was close because I knew it was going to be no fans in attendance. So if you see like with no fans, that means it's some rookies that normally they might not play, due to Corona. Some starters might not play, or some regular rotation guys might not play due to Corona, and that's giving opportunity to other players who you wouldn't think that would have played. And so that was really my mindset, going in, just pretty much just if I would have went pro, just working, getting my body and my mind right for whenever the opportunity came. But I looked at the bigger picture. I understood my worth. I understand the work that I put in and the work that I continue to put in each and every day. So hopefully when that day is coming, it'll definitely be a much easier decision for me.
No, that's something we look forward to tracking. And obviously, before we get to your future beyond this season at Illinois, we've got to get through this season first. Your team is 10-5 right now. What is your biggest assessment right now of Illinois through 15 games?
The great thing about my assessment is I believe we haven't played our best basketball, nowhere near close to our best basketball. I think we showed peaks of us playing at our best, but not at all have we put it all together for 40 minutes, and definitely haven't put it together for multiple games in a row. So that's the great thing about it, knowing that the towards the end of the season, we're about to hit February, so we're about a month and a couple weeks away from actually hitting the tournaments, the Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament, and it gives you something to really hope for, knowing that we haven't hit our peak yet.
Well, obviously, you've got somebody pushing you along the way every single day in Brad Underwood. What's the biggest thing about Coach Underwood that not a lot of people know, but you obviously have information regarding because you're with him every day?
A lot of people, they think Coach Underwood, he screams a lot. He just is, rah-rah coach. He just wants to get on his players. But that's the total opposite. Coach Underwood, he wants to bring the best out of you. It's been practices where, he'll literally just come into practice just to, no matter how I play, if I'm doing the right thing or not, he's purposely just, yelling at me or, just picking on me for that specific practice, because at the end of the day, he knows when you're on the road, it can get like that, facing adversity, and he does that great. He brings the best out of his players. He knows how to get his players to play hard. And deep down inside, off the court, he's a really cool guy. He talks sports. He if you really talk to him, you can really understand. Me talking to him, understanding his story and his background, it really helped a lot. But he's a really good guy, really good motivator, and he gets his guys to play hard.
Now, every coach, when they take over a new program, has a signature recruit that's kind of the Pied Piper to get things going. That was you for him. What was the vision that he gave you before you committed to the University of Illinois?
We sat down in his basement and we talked. He had a vision. We had a vision for me. Pretty much, we were still on track for what we envisioned. Definitely I envisioned to win. And, him having a winning background, I believe before he came to Illinois, he had an 84% winning percentage. So, of course, he had a winning background. And we just wanted to bring what I could to the table, and then him bringing his smarts, his winning ways to the table also. He wanted to, bring that together in jail and hopefully, bring this program back to where it belongs. Now, I do think we accomplished our goals, but we have a lot more to do. We have a lot more to accomplish. Hopefully, winning the Big Ten championship definitely is our first goal we're trying to accomplish.
Well, and the next task in that quest is Friday night's game against Iowa. It's no secret that the games that were played between Illinois and Iowa last year were hotly contested. And we get the feeling from the outside that these programs right now just don't particularly care for each other. What can we expect Friday night when Illinois takes on Iowa?
You can expect an intense. It's going to be a fight. They're in second place right now. We're right behind them. We only played them one time this season. So, whoever wins this solely in control of second place. So you're going to see two teams coming out, one to compete, two teams coming out, wanting to win and understanding that, it's getting to that time of the season where, of course, always every win matters, but, it's that time of the season where, this time to really make your move and make your jump. So you're going to see a very intense, two very intense, good team, high-level basketball game.
Well, obviously you're one of the best players in the country. So is Luka, Garza, Iowa's star big man. when you think about obviously what he's been able to accomplish, it's somebody who obviously wills himself every day to be the best that he can be. How much reverence do you have for a player like Garza, considering what he's accomplished?
I have a lot of respect for him. You know, me being a basketball specimen, just loving the game of basketball, me following the game of basketball. I really enjoy watching people succeed, especially seeing how far he has come. In my freshman year, he was very good, but he didn't get the attention that he really deserved, and he kept working. And he could have went to the NBA last season, but coming back this season and putting up the numbers that he's putting up now, I have a lot of respect for him individually.
Ayo, when you announced that you were returning to Illinois for your junior season, you put out a video on social media. It was a very well done piece, and one of the things that you said repeatedly in that video was about winning a national championship. And 16 years ago, Illinois had a chance in the national title game to win it all, came up a couple points short against North Carolina. And this team looks like the best team that Illinois has had since that run in 2005. How much, even though I know you're focused on the next task in front of you, do you keep those visions and dreams of going to a Final Four and competing for a national title in your head?
Definitely. I'm in there every day. That's why I try to, really harp on that to my teammates, that you really enjoy the moment. Not worrying about, Corona, of course, wear a mask, sanitize, wash your hands, but don't make it seem like it's punishment. Really enjoy the moment, because at the end of the day, we're here to win a Final Four and a Big Ten championship and a national championship. And say if you're not enjoying the moment of, not being able to go anywhere, having to stay inside, having to wear a mask, and then if we do win a championship, when we do, it's not going to be the same experience when you're looking back at it, because you didn't enjoy it. So
right.
Really enjoying this moment each and every day. We know our goal is to win a Big Ten championship and win a national championship. So each time we go in, before our game, we always touch our trophy, and that's our goal daily. We remind ourselves daily.
Well, if you win a national championship, you're probably going to have a pretty good meal afterwards to celebrate. This is a big food show, as you can tell, obviously. If Ayo Dosunmu had to have one meal, one place, where would it be? What would it be?
One meal, one place. Are we talking about in Champaign or in Chicago?
Anywhere in the world, if you could just have one meal, one place, where would it be? What would it be?
One meal, one place. I would have to say Harold's Chicken. Harold's Chicken, Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
Real good. Best chicken.
And just for the record, you're a Chicago guy. Are you a deep dish guy?
Deep dish. Well, yeah. I love deep dish. I love Giordano's. I love Italian Fiesta. I just gave you three good Chicago food restaurants. So if you ever go to Chicago, make sure you get those three.
Well, Ayo Dosunmu right now, he's an All-American guard. He's one of the best players in the country, and he's also, giving me food tips in Chicago. What can't you do? Well, it's been a pleasure, Ayo, obviously, to cover you. We appreciate a couple minutes. Best of luck throughout the rest of the season, and of course, starting Friday against Iowa.
Thank you. No problem.
You got it. That's Illinois star guard Ayo Dosunmu, one of the best players in the country. We are now going to get into our Nosh and Schmooze segment, where I eat, we discuss, we kibitz a little bit. I'm going to dive into this avocado toast. Sometimes the risk with avocado toast is it's a little bit messy, a little bit hard to cut. But right now I've got the eggs dripping a little bit over the avocado. But this, to me, in the last couple of years, is one of the dishes that I've really enjoyed sampling. This is my brunch go-to. Sometimes we'll prefer a little bit wheat toast instead of the sourdough, but, when in Rome, you got to obviously make things work. There we go. The egg drips a little bit when it's a fried egg, so you kind of got to make things work here as best you can. There we go. Let's get a little taste. I'm probably got a little smaller bite here. I don't want to get the dry cleaning going. There we go. Now that is exquisite. That is out of this world. Very rarely on this show will we have the same dish on back-to-back weeks, but avocado toast will make an exception. It's that good. So, As everybody knows, my food life is obviously, I'm always looking to evolve. I'm always trying to find new things. But you don't have as many opportunities during a pandemic and obviously during college basketball season. So I have found, and this is just something that I've kind of noticed the last couple of weeks, on Friday afternoons, before, the 7 o'clock game or so, there's a window when there's no college basketball. So I've decided the last couple of weeks on Friday afternoon, and maybe 4 or 5 o'clock before the 7 o'clock game, to just take a little bit of a step away and to catch up on some movies. Now, remember, I'm somebody who admitted last week or 2 weeks ago that I didn't really know what Netflix was until a couple of years ago. So good. But in addition to sending your questions about college basketball, I want you to send me some movies that I can watch during my Friday afternoon relaxation period. It's a 2-hour period I take every week just to kind of feel like a human being before getting ready to work all weekend. Everybody knows we sleep in May, but during the one period of the week where there's not a lot of college basketball, I find it's a good thing to catch up on movies. I watched something last week, came out probably, 10 years ago, Arbitrage with Richard Gere, Susan Sarandon. Solid flick. It's a movie I think if you're on a plane you could lose yourself in. But in the last 2 weeks I watched that, and I watched the movie Avalon, which I haven't seen since I was a kid. Early 1990s story about a family from the 40s and the 50s, Jewish family in Baltimore, coming to America, living the American dream. And it reminded me of why we do what we do. We do it to go beyond the generation before us, and that's why I'm so grateful for this opportunity to sit in front of you each and every week, talk basketball, talk food, and most importantly, eat. Now, let's get to our next segment, which we call Don't At Me, Bro. This is where I take your questions, college basketball related, but moving forward, send me also your movie reviews and stuff like that on Twitter so I can get to them and try to work them in before the end of the season. But I'm not going to do it, obviously, if there's going to be games coming up here on Friday. All right, let's see what we got here for the questions for Don't At Me, Bro. One. This is from Mike Atkinson. What is your biggest key for Illinois to make a deep run come March? Well, they got to get better in close games. They've lost a couple of close games. And also find out which pieces fit consistently around our last guest, Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Coburn. Brad Underwood has switched Jacob Grandis into the starting lineup recently. There's still a couple of things that I think need to obviously work out. Adam Miller, I think, is an extremely big X factor for this team. There's still obviously some things that need to be refined for Illinois. But this is a team that looks like a Lamborghini, but it might just need, obviously, a new set of tires and might just need an oil change here or there. Next question. This is from Sean Bennett. Who is a player you think is most valuable to their team specifically? Cade Cunningham at Oklahoma State, Justin Champagnie at Pittsburgh, somebody else. Really good question here. Who is the most valuable player to their own team? You could say Charles Bassey at Western Kentucky. You could say different people you could make an argument with. I think because Oklahoma State has Isaac Likely, they're probably well served to maybe be in a situation where they can absorb the loss of Cade Cunningham better than others. I would say maybe Julian Champagnie at St. John's, who's extremely valuable for the Red Storm. Good question. Next up. This is from W Strange 5. Do you think Georgia Tech can compete in the ACC and NCAA tournament? Absolutely, and it's ironic you brought this up. I was in studio on CBS Sports Network on Saturday with my buddies Wally Zerbiak and Brent Stover. Just trying to cut into the second piece here. And I talked about Georgia Tech before they took Virginia to the wire and lost by 2. This is the best team in the ACC that not enough people are talking about right now. And here's the thing. If Georgia Tech can win a game tonight at Duke, which obviously sounds hard, and it is going to be very hard, but it's obviously not vintage Duke. They're 5-5 right now. Georgia Tech will have had wins this year over Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky. Pretty staggering. Georgia Tech, though, to me, an NCAA tournament caliber team. Next up. It's from Coleman Crawley, and it's John. Will Baylor's lack of inside scoring from the post position and Gonzaga's lack of competition leading up to the NCAA tournament, can it be argued that Michigan is the sneaky favorite to win a national title? You know, I watched the Wolverines last Friday against Purdue, and I thought from a two-way perspective, both sides of the floor, they were in the conversation to be a one seed and obviously to compete for a national title. Baylor, to me, defensively, is better than any other team in the sport because of what they can do pressure-wise. And I also think for Gonzaga, the question isn't to me whether or not Gonzaga will go undefeated into the NCAA tournament. The question is, are they going to be tested? They are ripping through opponents like a chainsaw through butter right now. Next question. It's from Hillary McSwain. John, biggest impact on the Who's this year, Hauser, Murphy, or Beekman, and why? You know, with the way Sam Hauser is playing right now, I would say him. But you have to remember, all three of these guys started last night against Syracuse. That means that the only players that started for Virginia who were in the Cavs program last year are Jay Huff and Kihei Clark. That's only 40%. That can be attributed to why this team got out of the gate slower. Next question. Hillary McSwain again. Are the Zags doing themselves justice by being in the WCC? I think it's a pretty consensus. This is one of the weaker conferences in the country. You know, I disagree, Hillary. I think if you look last year, the WCC wasn't just in position to get multiple teams in the NCAA tournament. They had three teams that would have made the NCAA tournament, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and BYU, that would have been single-digit seeds in the field. So I disagree with your point there. Another thing I got to get, a stronger fork next week. The avocado toast has destroyed this one. Next question. It's from Kobe, and it's John. What team do you think has the greatest chance to upset Baylor in the Big 12? You know, we need to see Texas get back to full strength in Texas, and we send our best to Shaka Smart, who was tested positive for COVID-19. Won't coach tonight against Oklahoma. Texas, you know, I'd like to see play Baylor. That's February 6th, I believe. A lot of the teams, though, Kansas included, feel like they're closer together than ever this year. The separation of the Big 12 is a real thing. Texas Tech, obviously, had an opportunity to win last night at West Virginia. West Virginia won by 1. I would say Texas right now. It's from James Michael. It's John. What's it going to take for Florida State to get some respect in rankings? Well, James, I voted them in this week. They're ranked 16th in the AP poll. They are surging, and they're going up the polls. And I think another thing to look at Florida State is Florida State brought in one of the best freshmen in the country in Scotty Barnes, and he's yet to play like an elite freshman. So this team's only going to get better as the season goes along. Next question. Everybody's so chummy today. I'm going to get a little dip right here before we get in, although my fork right now is just seeing better days. Let's see if I can do this with a knife. Dry cleaning is always a risk when you eat avocado toast. There we go. This is from Daniel Leva. How hot is Wojo's seat at Marquette? The season is so tough for many reasons, but he may be the most talented team he had, and they're really missing Mark. I got to tell you, it's been a little bit of an enigmatic run for Marquette. Marquette early played extremely well against UCLA in a game that they lost. Also beat Wisconsin, and also was in a situation where it won at Creighton, but then Saturday had a maddening loss at home to DePaul. Marquette is going to have to start putting some wins together if it wants to play in the NCAA tournament. So much good avocado here. I'm just going to get another piece, another bite in here before we get to our next segment. Oh, boy. That's good stuff. All right. Time now for our next segment called News and Nuggets. I'm go to my Hulkamadian lunchbox, as I always do. Break out my snacks. What do you know? Sweet potato fries, my favorite. All right. Am I going to do the dip again with eggs and avocado? Why not? You only live once. Like Ayo Dosunmu says, right? Enjoy every moment. Oh, it's really good. Okay. Jermaine Samuels is starting to emerge as an X factor for Villanova. Was really good last week in a pair of games against Providence and Seton Hall. If he can continue to play at this level, the Wildcats could reach another level. Was outstanding in those 2 games last week. I'm officially concerned about Tennessee's offense. Tennessee had 18 turnovers in each of its 2 games last week, which were both losses. One against Florida, one obviously at home against Missouri. Starting to wonder if this team is ever going to really be right on that side of the floor. Talking to the staff last week, one of the things they need to identify is a consistent threat that's going to be their go-to guy. The staff some days thinks it could be John Fulkerson. People from the periphery may look at somebody like Jaden Springer or Josiah Jordan-James. It's going to be an evolving thing for Tennessee offensively. Tennessee tonight will play host to Mississippi State. Another game tonight, North Carolina against Pittsburgh. R.J. Davis is emerging as a symbol of stability for North Carolina. Double figures in his last 4 games, only 4 turnovers in his last 77 minutes played. I mean, the ironic thing is this. Jeff Capel, the head coach of Pitt, recruited R.J. Davis relentlessly when he came out of, obviously, Archbishop Stepanek in White Plains. He now plays for North Carolina. Those 2 teams will lock horns tonight at the Peterson Event Center. Games to watch tonight, in addition to Carolina and Pitt. Oklahoma goes to Texas. Big week for Oklahoma. In addition to tonight's game against Texas, they will play Alabama in the Big 12 SEC Challenge coming up on Saturday. Kentucky plays at Alabama. Alabama obviously in the top 10 now, playing as well as anybody in the country, not named Gonzaga or Baylor. Missouri, who I talked about at the top of the show, will go and take on Auburn. Auburn freshman point guard Sharif Cooper had 11 assists in the first half on Saturday against South Carolina. And then Georgia Tech and Duke. Keep your eye on this Georgia Tech team. Alvarado, DeVoe, veteran players, and Moses Wright, if he was viewed as a blue blood program, if he was playing at a Duke or a Carolina, if he was at a blue blood program, he would be viewed as the best big man in the ACC. There's no doubt about it. So that's a name to watch tonight as Georgia Tech plays at Duke. We're 1 week closer to Selection Sunday. We're 1 week closer to the NCAA tournament. That bracket is going to come out 6 weeks from this Sunday. And I'm inspired by our guest today, Ayo Dosunmu. Enjoy the moment. And while you're enjoying the moment, stay positive, test negative. And remember, in the airport of life, college basketball is a Delta Sky Club. Manja.